They don't always hear my voice. I know that. I see them, rushing, searching, wondering if I'm still near, and yet I never left. Maybe today it's you. Maybe you're carrying a weight that no one else sees, a silence inside that even words can't touch. You've smiled when it hurt, waited through prayers that felt unanswered, and kept walking when you didn't even know why. I saw it all. I felt it all. And now, I want you to know, I'm here. I've been waiting for this moment, not with judgment, but with love. Because when my spirit moves, everything changes. Not just the things around you, but the things within you. Fear gives way to peace. Confusion melts into clarity, and the place that felt empty becomes a dwelling for my presence. That is what I desire for you. Not later, not when you feel more ready, but now, today. Let me ask you something. What if the silence you've been living in has been sacred all along? What if the waiting wasn't punishment, but preparation? I know the nights you stared at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. I know the prayers you whispered without sound, and I know what you've been longing for. It's not a solution. It's not just a change in your situation. What your soul is truly crying out for is me. If something inside you is stirring right now, don't ignore it. That's not emotion. That's my spirit awakening yours. You are not alone, and this moment is not an accident. I brought you here. I arranged it. I've been calling softly, gently, through the noise, and this is your invitation. Write it in the comments if you can feel it. Even in silence, I trust God's hand. Let it be your first step toward me today. In this time we'll spend together, I will show you 15 spiritual keys, each one designed to unlock something divine inside you. These are not just words, they are life, they are power, they carry the breath of heaven. And as you listen, I will move, quietly, deeply, in ways you may not expect, but exactly how your heart has needed. And yes, stay until the end, because the last key I will give you might be the one your soul has been waiting for all this time, the missing piece, the breath of hope, the door to healing. I want to walk with you through every key, through every truth, until the light comes in and the burden finally lifts. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm not waiting for you to be worthy. I already see your worth. I always have. What I'm asking for is your heart. Stay with me. Don't run from this moment. There is a prayer waiting for us at the end of this journey, a holy meeting where I will pour peace into your deepest ache. Let's meet there, together. So stay with me until the end. Your soul might receive exactly what it has been longing for, and when that moment comes, it won't be because you did everything right, but because you let me in. If this is touching you now, if something in your spirit is beginning to open, subscribe, stay close, and walk with me. This isn't just a channel, it's a sanctuary, a path, a place for wandering hearts to come home. Let's make this a journey, not of spectators, but of seekers, of those who dare to believe that when I move, nothing stays the same. Now let me ask you, what if the change you've been waiting for is already moving toward you? What if the next key I reveal is not just a lesson, but the beginning of something new, alive and eternal? Come, let's begin. Key 1, let me in. You've held the door closed for so long, not because you wanted to, but because it felt safer. Life taught you to protect yourself, to keep the softest parts of your soul guarded. Maybe people let you down. Maybe trust became too expensive, so you survived by shutting out what hurt. But in the process, you also began shutting out what could heal. I've been standing on the other side, not forcing, not shouting, just knocking gently again and again, because that's what love does. It waits, it hopes, it believes that one day the door will open, even just a little. That's all I need. A little crack in the wall you've built, a whisper of willingness, a silent yes. Let me in. I don't need you to fix everything. I'm not asking for cleaned up prayers or polished faith. I want the real you, the one behind the mask, the one who cries without sound, the one who still hopes even after all the disappointment. I see you, I love that version of you, and I'm not afraid of your wounds. I want to heal them. Do you remember the story of the man who lived among the tombs? Everyone else had given up on him. He was chained, rejected, called crazy, but I went to him. I crossed a stormy sea just to reach him. No one else would, but I did. And when he saw me, broken as he was, he didn't run. He didn't hide. He fell at my feet, and that was enough. In that moment, my power met his pain, and everything changed. I'm doing the same now. I'm crossing through storms to get to you. I'm stepping over fear, shame, doubt, all of it, just to meet you where you are. Not where you think you should be, where you actually are, because that's where miracles begin. But I won't barge in. That's not who I am. I wait for your yes. I honor your heart. I respect your timing, but my desire is clear. I want to dwell in you. I want to fill the empty rooms. I want to walk with you in the silence. I want to bring light to the places you've been afraid to show anyone, even me. So here's the key. Let me in. Not just with your mind, not just with your lips. Let me into your decisions, your disappointments, your hidden thoughts, your quiet fears. Let me be the one who sits with you when the world gets loud. Let me walk with you when the path disappears. Let me cry with you when you feel no one else understands. I do. Maybe right now you feel something stirring, not pressure, not fear. Just a gentle tug, like a hand reaching for yours in the dark. That's me, that's my spirit. This is not a coincidence. This is a divine moment. You're not watching this by chance. You're not listening by accident. I orchestrated this encounter because I love you that much, because your heart is sacred to me, because I see what others missed, because you matter more than you know. If this truth is echoing inside you, stay. There's more coming. This journey has only begun. And what's ahead will lift you, heal you, restore you. Key by key, your soul will find its way back to the light. You're not alone in this. Many have walked this same road, quietly, trembling, uncertain, and yet, one step at a time, they found me faithful. You will too, if your heart is whispering yes, if there's a small part of you ready to open the door, even just a little. That's enough. That's where everything begins. That's where I begin. You can write this in the comments if it feels right. Jesus, I open the door to you. Sometimes a few words are all it takes to start a new chapter. And if this truth is resonating, keep walking. There is another key coming. It's not just about letting me in. It's about what happens after I enter. Because when my spirit dwells in you, you don't just survive. You come alive. But before that, let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you stopped running and simply rested in me? That's the next key, and it might just change everything. Key 2, rest in me. You've been carrying so much. I see it, even when no one else does. The way your shoulders sink ever so slightly under the invisible weight. The way your breath feels shallow, as if your soul is holding its breath, waiting for relief, for answers, for something to finally change. I've watched you try to stay strong for everyone else. I've seen you put others first while neglecting the aching places inside your own heart. And I whisper again, come to me and rest. This world has taught you that rest must be earned, that only when everything is fixed, only when the work is done, only when you've done enough, then maybe you deserve to rest. But that is not my way. I don't ask you to arrive perfect. I ask you to come weary. I don't wait for your hands to be empty. I meet you right in the middle of the mess you're carrying, because your soul was never created to survive by striving. It was created to breathe in me. You don't have to do this alone. Do you remember Martha? She loved me deeply. She was doing what she thought was right, preparing, serving, working hard to honor my presence. But she was restless, anxious, pulled in too many directions. And when she finally spoke, her frustration spilled out. She felt unseen, overwhelmed. And I looked at her with love, not with judgment, and I said her name twice gently, Martha, Martha. I wanted her to know that I saw her truly. And then I reminded her, only one thing is needed. And her sister Mary had chosen it, to sit at my feet. That's what I'm inviting you into now, not a religion, not a list of tasks, but rest, holy, healing, restoring rest. The kind that touches your soul and not just your schedule. The kind that doesn't come from sleep alone, but from surrender. The kind that doesn't mean giving up, but giving in to me. You've tried so hard to be everything for everyone. But here, right now, I'm asking you to be my beloved. That's all. No performance, no pretending, just presence. Maybe you've been wondering why things still feel heavy, why even when you pray, the pressure doesn't lift. Sometimes it's because you're trying to carry what I never asked you to hold. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't found in doing more, but in letting go. Let me carry you. Let me take the pieces that feel too sharp. Let me speak peace over the noise in your mind. You don't have to keep spinning. You don't have to keep proving yourself. I already chose you. I already love you. And I already know how to lead you through this. So here is the key. Rest in me. I don't mean escape. I don't mean avoiding life. I mean anchoring your soul in a love that does not change, even when the storm rages. I mean breathing deeply in my presence when the world gets loud. I mean trusting me with your next step, even when you can't see the whole path. It's okay not to know everything. It's okay to need me. That's the beauty of this relationship. I'm the shepherd. You're the one I lead. And if your heart feels tired right now, don't push past it. Honor it. That tiredness is not weakness. It's a signal, a sacred invitation, a reminder that even the strongest need to lean sometimes. And here, in my arms, you will find strength that doesn't run out. You will find grace that quiets your shame. You will find love that doesn't make you earn it. If this is speaking to you, stay close. There are still many keys I will show you. Each one will bring your heart deeper into freedom. But for now, just breathe, just be. Just let go of what was never yours to carry alone. You are not a burden. You are not a disappointment. You are mine. If something within you is exhaling right now, write in the comments, Jesus, I choose to rest in you. Let it be more than a sentence. Let it be your sacred declaration. And if you're still wondering whether you're allowed to rest before the answers come, let me tell you, you are, because I am your answer, and I will hold you through the waiting. You're not falling behind, you're falling into grace, and that is where everything begins to change. Now let me ask you something. What if your breakthrough doesn't come by pushing harder, but by surrendering deeper? That's where we're headed next. Key 3. Surrender the outcome. You've been asking me again and again, Lord, when will it change? I've heard your prayers, the ones you speak aloud and the ones you whisper through clenched teeth and quiet tears. I've watched your mind trace every possibility, every scenario, trying to figure out how to make the promise match your present. And I want to speak something into your soul today, not as a command, but as an invitation. Surrender the outcome. You've carried so much pressure to get it right, to fix it, to save what's falling apart. You've asked me to move, but part of you still holds the reins, afraid of what might happen if you let go. You think that control will protect you from pain, but it only deepens your anxiety. You think your plan is safer, but my way leads to peace. And now, I'm asking you to lay it down. Not because you're giving up, but because you're finally giving it to me. I never asked you to carry the weight of results. That's not your role. Your role is trust. Your place is surrender. When you release the outcome, you make room for my spirit to move freely, not according to your timeline, but according to my perfect love. Let me take you to a moment when surrender wasn't weakness, but the very path to glory. Do you remember Gethsemane? That garden soaked in agony and sweat like blood. That night, I too knelt under the weight of what was coming. I knew the cost. I knew the pain. I saw every detail of what lay ahead, and my soul trembled. And yet, I surrendered. Not my will, but yours be done. Not because it felt easy, not because I had no questions, but because I trusted the heart of the one who sent me. Surrender is not defeat. It is the deepest form of trust. It says, I may not understand, but I believe you are good. It says, even if it looks different than I imagined, I know you love me. And when you say that, not just with your lips, but with your life, the heavens respond. That is the key I'm offering you now. Surrender the outcome. I see how hard you've worked. I see the dreams you've tried to protect, the relationships you've fought to save, the future you've tried to plan out in perfect lines. But what if the very thing you fear losing is the very thing I want to heal, in a way far better than you imagined? What if letting go isn't losing, but gaining? You don't have to be afraid of what's next. You don't have to hold your breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. When you place the outcome in my hands, you place it into eternity, into a plan not limited by human weakness or timing or effort. You step out of striving and into rest, out of panic and into peace. And if this word is touching something deep inside of you, if you feel that gentle conviction, not shame but invitation, don't run from it. That's my spirit calling you into freedom. So take this moment, breathe, loosen your grip. Let your soul speak what it's been afraid to say. Jesus, I surrender the outcome. Write it in the comments and let it echo from your heart to heaven. This is not the end. It's the beginning of a lighter burden, a gentler journey. Because I go before you. I fight for you. I redeem what seems lost. And when you release control, you allow me to be who I truly am, your Savior, your Shepherd, your King. So don't be afraid. Even now, as you let go, I am catching what you've been trying to carry. I'm turning the pages you've been trying to write, and what I'm writing is holy. If your spirit feels that this truth is not just for now, but forever, stay close, because what's coming next will go even deeper. There's a key that reveals how to walk in peace, even while the world shakes. We're going there together. But before we do, let me ask you something. What would your heart feel like if you stopped forcing results and simply trusted my heart instead? That's the door we'll open in the next part. Key 4, walk in my peace. You've been walking, but not always in peace. You've moved through your days carrying the noise of 1,000 thoughts, worries about tomorrow, regrets from yesterday, fears you've learned to disguise as strength. You've smiled when you were breaking, kept going when your soul longed to stop. But peace was never meant to be something you had to chase. It was always meant to walk with you. And I am that peace. I don't just offer calm. I am the calm in the middle of your storm. I don't just provide comfort. I become your comfort. I don't give you a temporary escape. I give you a steady place to stand when the ground trembles. That's what I want for you. Not just fleeting moments of relief, but a life rooted in my peace, the kind that doesn't depend on what the world gives or takes. You've tried to find peace in answers, in people, in timing, but I want you to find it in me. Do you remember the moment I stood in the boat, the wind howling, waves threatening to sink everything? My disciples, the ones who had walked with me, seen miracles, heard my voice, they still panicked, they still feared. And when they cried out, I didn't rebuke their weakness. I rebuked the storm. I stood in the chaos, looked into the wind and said, peace, be still. And everything obeyed. That same voice is speaking over you now. You've been wondering if I'm silent. You've been asking if I still see you, but I've been in your boat all along. I haven't left. I haven't changed. And right now, I am speaking peace over every storm within you. Not everything outside you will change overnight. Some waves will still rise. Some winds will still blow. But the difference is this: when you walk with me, you walk with peace. And peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of trust. It's knowing that no matter what comes, you are held by hands that do not shake. So here is your key. Walk in my peace. Not just on the good days, not just when things feel under control, but especially in the unknown, especially when the path seems dim, especially when the noise grows louder and louder. That is when my peace becomes your anchor. That is when my spirit begins to calm, not just the sea around you, but the storm within you. I see how often you try to carry it all. The responsibilities, the pressure, the fear of failing. You wonder if peace is even possible with everything that's going on. And I tell you, it is not only possible, it is promised. My peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled. Let those words settle into your soul. Let them breathe where your anxiety has lived. Let them cover the noise that's been robbing your rest. You don't have to fight for peace. You only have to choose me. Even now, as you listen, something may be shifting inside. It might feel like a sigh, like a release, like something finally exhaling. That's my peace. Let it stay, let it grow, let it guide every step you take from here. And if your heart agrees, if you're ready to stop striving and start walking in the calm of my presence, write it in the comments. Jesus, I receive your peace. Say it as a prayer. Let it be your yes to me. There is more ahead, deeper rest, higher promises, stronger presence. But first, I want you to walk today, not in fear, not in urgency, but in peace. Because peace is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the gift I give for every step. And if while listening, someone you love came to mind, maybe that wasn't random. Maybe I'm asking you to share this word with them, to bring peace where there's been unrest, to be a vessel of calm for a heart that's been drowning in noise. So stay close. Because the next key I give you is not about stillness, it's about power. Power that flows not from force, but from alignment with me. But before we go there, I ask you, what if peace isn't something you wait for, but something you choose right now, with me? That's the journey we'll step into next. Key 5. Abide in my presence. You don't have to search far. You don't have to climb mountains or cross oceans to find me. I am not distant, I am not hiding, I am here, right here. And I have been all along. You felt me in quiet moments, in the tears that fell when no one was watching, in the sudden stillness that settled over your chaos. That was me, whispering, waiting, calling you back to the one place your soul was made to live, my presence. This is what I long for. Not just visits, not just glimpses, but nearness. I don't want you to come to me only when you're desperate or broken. I want to dwell with you in every moment, in the ordinary, in the in-between, in the rising and resting of your days. I want to be the atmosphere your soul breathes, the rhythm your heart learns to trust, the home you never have to leave. You were created for my presence. You've chased many things, approval, security, direction, even peace. But what you've really been searching for, beneath all the questions and longings, is me. And the moment you begin to abide, to rest in me, to remain in my love, everything begins to align. Your fears grow quiet, your heart becomes steady, your purpose becomes clear. Do you remember the vine and the branches? I gave that picture to help you understand what real connection looks like. I said, abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. I didn't say, try harder. I didn't say, fix everything first. I said, abide, stay, remain, be with me, not just near me. So here is the key, abide in my presence, not as a task to complete, not as a performance to perfect, but as a posture of the soul, a returning, a daily leaning, a quiet yes in your spirit, even when words don't come. Because when you learn to abide, you begin to live, not from pressure, but from presence, not from scarcity, but from overflow. Abiding is not about doing more. It's about staying close. You might ask, how do I do that, Jesus? How do I remain with you when life pulls me in every direction? And I tell you, start by turning your heart toward me, in the middle of your busy day, in the silence of the night, in the noise and in the quiet. Invite me in. A whisper is enough. A glance of your soul toward mine is enough. It's not about perfect prayers. It's about honest connection. Some days you'll feel me more clearly. Some days it may feel quiet. But when you abide, you begin to see me in places you didn't before. In a stranger's kindness, in the sunrise, in the comfort that comes without explanation. That's how I dwell with those who dwell with me. And if your heart longs for that closeness, that constant companionship, write this in the comments. Jesus, I choose to abide in you. Let it be your declaration, your realignment, your homecoming. Because this is not about earning anything. It's about remembering who you are and where you belong. You don't have to keep reaching out into the dark, hoping to find me. I'm already reaching for you. And when you abide, you allow me to pour into places you've kept hidden. Places that are dry, tired, and waiting for renewal. If this truth is resonating, if something in you is settling as if it finally found where it belongs, stay with me. There are more keys to come, and each one will open a deeper part of your spirit. You're not just learning, you're awakening. And maybe you've wondered if you're capable of staying close, if you'll drift again. Hear me. I don't measure your love by your perfection. I receive your love in every moment you choose to return. That's all I ask. Keep returning. This journey isn't about pressure, it's about presence. And in my presence, there is fullness, of joy, of peace, of life. Now, I want to lead you to the next key, one that will teach you how to hear me more clearly, even when the world gets loud. But before we go, let me ask you, what if your greatest breakthrough isn't ahead, but waiting in the stillness of simply being with me, here and now? Let's walk into that together in the next part. Key 6. Learn to hear my voice. You've been asking, Lord, is that you? In moments of confusion, in the silence of your prayers, you've longed to know if I was truly speaking. I've seen you strain to hear, afraid of missing me, unsure if the whisper in your heart is mine or your own thoughts. And now I want to tell you something simple, something sacred. Yes, I speak, and yes, you can hear me. From the beginning, my desire has been relationship, not religion, not rules, but real communion. I didn't create you to live on second-hand faith. I created you to walk with me, hear me, and know my voice. Just as a child recognizes the voice of a loving parent, your soul was designed to recognize mine. But hearing my voice is not about volume, it's about intimacy. My voice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quieter than the noise you carry. Sometimes it comes like a breath in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it feels more like a knowing than a sound, a sudden clarity, a holy nudge, a peace that doesn't make sense. That's me. I am not hiding. I am always speaking. The question is not if I speak, but whether you're still long enough to listen. Remember Samuel, a boy, still learning what my voice sounded like. He heard me, but didn't know it was me. He thought it was someone else. But when he finally quieted his spirit and said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening," everything changed, and the same can happen for you. So here is the key. Learn to hear my voice. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you'll never make a mistake. It means you stay close. It means you learn my tone, my character, my ways. The more time you spend with me, in stillness, in scripture, in surrender, the clearer my voice will become. I don't shout over your distractions. I speak through your surrender. I won't compete with the noise. I wait for the soul that says, I want to hear you more than I want to be right, more than I want to control, more than I want answers. Because my voice isn't just about direction. It's about connection. It doesn't just lead you. It transforms you. Some of you have been afraid of being deceived, afraid of getting it wrong. But I say to you, my sheep know my voice. You don't have to be afraid. If your heart belongs to me, you will know when I speak. It may take time, it may take trust, but it will come. And each time you respond, each time you obey, your heart grows more in tune with heaven. I speak through my word, through dreams, through peace, through people, through the still small voice, and above all, through my spirit, who lives inside you. Don't limit the ways I can reach you, just open your heart and ask. If you're longing for this, if your soul is crying out for clarity, for real communion, write this in the comments. Jesus, teach me to hear you. Let it be your first step toward a new level of relationship. You've spent enough time wondering. Now is the time to listen, and you don't have to force it, you don't have to strain. You only need to lean in, find a quiet place, still your mind. Let go of the rush. I'm not in the noise, I'm in the whisper. I always have been. If this truth is stirring something inside you, if you feel a gentle invitation to draw closer, to be still, to recognize me, follow it. That's me calling you deeper. Many are learning to hear again. You are not alone. And as you begin to discern my voice more clearly, everything changes. Decisions become clearer, fears lose their grip, and my peace becomes the loudest sound in your soul. You don't need to chase signs. You don't need to fear silence. You need to trust that I am always near, and that I am always speaking to the one who truly listens. And now, I want to take you deeper still, into the next key, one that reveals how to walk in boldness, not because of who you are, but because of who I am in you. But before we step into that, let me ask you something. What if the answer you've been looking for is already waiting in the stillness you've been avoiding? Let's step into that stillness together. Key 7, let my spirit make you bold. You've doubted yourself. I know. You've looked at others, their strength, their faith, their confidence, and wondered if something was missing in you. You've said things like, I'm not like them. I'm not strong enough. I'm not brave. But I need you to hear this. You were never meant to be bold on your own. You were meant to be bold in me. There is a fire inside you, not one you created, one I placed there. It may feel small right now, like a flicker in a storm, but when my spirit breathes on it, it becomes a flame that no fear can put out. That's the kind of boldness I give, not rooted in pride or power, but in purpose, in truth, in love that refuses to back down. You've been holding back, afraid of being wrong, afraid of what others will think, afraid of failing. But I didn't call you to hide. I called you to shine, and not because you're perfect, but because I live in you. And when my spirit lives in you, fear has no final say. Remember Peter? He once denied me, he ran, he wept, he thought his story was over. But when my spirit came upon him, everything changed. The same man who once trembled at a servant girl's question stood boldly before crowds and declared my name without shame. What changed? My spirit filled him. My presence gave him courage. That's what I want to do in you. So here is the key. Let my spirit make you bold, not reckless, not loud for the sake of being heard, but bold in truth, bold in grace, bold in love, bold in your identity. You don't have to shrink back anymore. You were created to carry light, even into dark places. You were made to speak life, even when others are silent. You were meant to stand firm, even when the winds blow hard. But you can't do this alone. You were never meant to. That's why I sent my spirit, not just to comfort you, but to empower you. Not just to whisper peace, but to awaken courage. And that courage isn't something you manufacture. It's something you receive. Maybe you've felt weak lately. Maybe you've questioned if you're really capable of walking in what I've called you to do. But hear me. My strength is made perfect in weakness. You don't need to be enough. I am enough in you. If your heart is stirring now, if something inside you is saying, I want that fire again. I want to be bold for Jesus, no matter the cost. Write this in the comments. Jesus, make me bold by your Spirit. Let those words become your prayer and your declaration. And don't let shame hold you back. Don't let the past define your permission to rise. I don't see you through your failures. I see you through my redemption. And what I see is someone ready, someone chosen, someone with fire in their bones, even if they don't feel it yet. So walk with me. Let me lead you into places you were once afraid of. Let me give you words you didn't know you had. Let me show you that courage isn't about never feeling fear. It's about moving forward, even when you do, because you know who walks beside you. You're not called to blend in, you're called to rise up. And this world needs what I've placed inside you. There are hearts waiting, chains ready to break, darkness about to flee. And I want to use you, yes you, to help set the captives free. Stay close. There's more I want to give you. The next key will teach you how to wait without giving up, how to stand strong in the tension between the promise and its fulfillment. But before we go there, let me ask you, what if the boldness you've been waiting for is already within you, waiting for my spirit to awaken it? Let me awaken it now. Key 8. Learn to wait with me. I know waiting is hard. I've watched you hope with trembling hands. I've seen the tears you've wiped away in secret, the prayers that ended in silence, the days that felt like a holding pattern with no end in sight. You've asked, "How long, Lord?" You've whispered, "Did you forget me?" And even when you kept walking, I saw the weight you carried. I want you to know, I've been waiting with you. I am not far off, watching from a distance. I'm beside you in the hallway between doors. I'm in the slow mornings, the unanswered prayers, the fragile faith that clings to me even when nothing makes sense. You're not waiting alone, and the wait is never wasted. The world tells you that if it takes too long, something must be wrong. That if you're still waiting, you've been forgotten. But I tell you the truth, delay is not denial. Waiting is not punishment. It is preparation. I use time not to hurt you, but to shape you, to deepen your trust, to refine your vision, to prepare your heart to hold what you've prayed for, and sometimes to help you see that I am the answer you've been looking for all along. Remember Lazarus? His sisters cried out to me. They begged for me to come. They believed I could heal. And I waited. Not because I didn't care, but because I had something greater in mind. They saw a delay. I saw a miracle unfolding. When I finally arrived, they said, "If you had been here." But what they didn't know was this: I was always coming. And I always had resurrection in my plan. So here is the key. Learn to wait with me, not with clenched fists, not with frustration, but with trust, with stillness, with the kind of hope that's not rooted in what you see, but in who I am. I don't ask you to wait alone. I ask you to wait with me, because in the waiting I draw you closer. In the waiting I speak in deeper ways. In the waiting I prepare you for a blessing that won't break you. You're not behind, you're being built. I know it feels like the clock is ticking louder. I know you see others moving forward while you feel stuck. But I don't measure your worth by speed. I measure your heart by faith. And your faith is growing, even now, as you choose to trust in the delay. If this is resonating with you, if you feel like this part of the journey is yours, write in the comments, "Jesus, I will wait with you." Let that be your offering today. Not a cry of desperation, but a declaration of trust. Waiting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what I've called you to do, while trusting me with what only I can do. It means worshiping while the door remains closed. It means staying faithful even when nothing changes. Yet, and yes, I see how weary you are. But don't lose heart. Your story isn't on pause. It's unfolding in perfect time. You may not see it yet, but every quiet day, every obedient step, every tear, it's all being gathered. Nothing is wasted in my hands. You're closer than you think. Don't give up now. Not when the roots are finally growing deep. Not when your heart is learning the kind of faith that doesn't need signs to believe. The promise still stands. The breakthrough is still coming. And while you wait, I'm not asking you to be strong. I'm asking you to stay with me. And I'm asking you to let this waiting season soften you, not harden you. Let it make you tender, not bitter. Let it draw you near, not push you away. Because in the end, it won't just be about what you receive, it will be about who you became in the process. Stay, breathe, trust. I'm still writing your story. The next key I'll give you will show you how to fight, not in your own strength, but with the authority I've given you. But before we go there, let me ask you this. What if the very thing you're waiting for is growing stronger in the silence? Let me show you what I've been doing behind the scenes. Key 9. Use the authority I gave you. There are battles you've been fighting in silence, thoughts that torment you, fears that visit uninvited, storms that rise with no warning. You've prayed for relief. You've asked for peace. But there's something I need you to know. I've already given you authority. You don't have to wait for the storm to stop. You can speak to it. In my name. I know you felt powerless at times. The weight of life. The attacks that come without reason. The heaviness that doesn't lift even after rest. But you are not defenseless. When I gave you my spirit, I placed power inside of you. Not a force to control others, but the authority to stand firm when everything else shakes. You've been asking me to move, but I'm asking you to rise. There is a difference between asking and declaring. There's a time to plead, and there's a time to proclaim. When the enemy whispers lies to your mind, that you're not loved, that you're not enough, that it's too late, you don't have to accept it. You can answer with truth, with scripture, with my name. That's what I did in the wilderness. When the enemy came to tempt me, I didn't argue, I didn't panic. I spoke the word with authority, and the enemy fled. So here is the key. Use the authority I gave you. You don't have to be loud. You just have to be rooted. You don't need perfect words. You need faith in the name that carries power. My name. Speak it over your fear. Speak it over your home. Speak it over your thoughts. You are not a victim of spiritual warfare. You are equipped for it. Remember the disciples? They were once afraid, unsure. They watched me calm storms and cast out demons, but when I sent them out, I gave them authority, not just to speak about the kingdom, but to demonstrate it, to heal, to set free, to stand without fear. That same spirit lives in you now. You are not weak. You are not helpless. You carry heaven's power because I live inside of you. And when you speak in alignment with my will, darkness loses ground. Chains begin to break. Atmospheres shift. Don't let your voice stay silent. Don't let lies stay unchallenged. Open your mouth and declare what I've already said about you. You are my child. You are forgiven. You are chosen. You are not forgotten. You are more than a conqueror through me. And yes, there will be resistance. But my authority in you is greater than any weapon formed against you. No attack can overturn the identity I've spoken over your life. But you must speak it too. You must agree with heaven. If you're ready to stand in that truth, if something inside you is stirring, saying, I want to walk in that power, write it in the comments. Jesus, I receive and walk in your authority. Let this be your moment of agreement, because the enemy thrives on your silence. But when you speak, when you declare, when you stand, heaven moves, not because of your strength, but because you're standing on my word. And when you feel tired, when the fight seems too much, come back to me. Rest in me, but never forget who you are in me. You are not just surviving, you're meant to overcome. Stay close. Let my words dwell richly in you. Let my spirit remind you who you are. Let your prayers turn from pleading to proclaiming. Because this is how you fight your battles. Not by striving, but by standing in truth. The next key I'll give you will take you even deeper, into the power of forgiveness, and how it unlocks doors the enemy cannot close. But before we go there, let me ask you, what if the victory you've been praying for has been waiting for your voice to rise in faith? Let it rise now. Key 10, forgive and be free. I know what they did. I know how deep it went. I know the silence that followed, the trust that was shattered, the pain that still lingers when no one's watching. You've tried to let it go. You've said the words, maybe even prayed for them, but something in you still aches. And I want to speak into that place now, not with pressure, not with blame, but with love. The kind that sees every scar and still says, there is more for you than this pain. Forgiveness was never meant to minimize what happened. It was never about pretending you weren't wounded. It's about releasing the weight that was never yours to carry. It's about letting go, not for their sake, but for yours. Because as long as your heart remains bound to that moment, that betrayal, that hurt, it will keep draining your strength, stealing your joy, and clouding your vision of who you are in me. I don't ask you to forget. I ask you to entrust it to me. So here is the key. Forgive and be free. I know how hard that sounds. I walked through it too. They spat on me, betrayed me, lied about me, nailed me to a cross, and as the pain surged through my body, I looked at them, not with bitterness, but with compassion. I said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Not because they deserved it, but because you did. I forgave, so that forgiveness would forever be possible, even in the deepest wounds. And now, I want to lead you into that same freedom. You've waited for justice, for apology, for them to understand what they did. But that healing you long for, it doesn't come from their words. It comes from mine. When I said, it is finished, I didn't just mean the pain of the cross. I meant the chain of offense, the cycle of bitterness, the prison of resentment. You don't have to stay there anymore. When you forgive, you don't say what happened was okay. You say you are no longer its prisoner. You open the door for my peace to enter, for my spirit to breathe in the places that have been locked and guarded for so long. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. It's saying, Jesus, I trust you more than I trust my pain. And sometimes the one you need to forgive is yourself. You've held your past like a stone in your chest, replaying, regretting, rewriting what you wish you could have done. But I didn't ask you to carry shame. I carried it for you, and I'm telling you now, lay it down. You can't change what happened, but you can receive what I've already paid for: freedom, grace, a new beginning. If this is speaking to your heart, if something inside you is finally ready to stop living chained to what was, write in the comments, Jesus, I choose to forgive and be free. Let this be your holy release. I know it won't all vanish in a moment. Healing takes time. Some days will be easier than others, but every time you forgive, you take a step toward freedom. Every time you bless instead of curse, love instead of resent, surrender instead of hold on, you become more like me, and in that, your heart finds rest. Let me walk with you through this. Let me carry the anger, the grief, the unspoken ache. You don't have to do this alone. Forgiveness is not a door you walk through by yourself. It's one you enter holding my hand. Stay with me. There are still more keys I want to place in your hands. The next one will bring light to the lies you've believed and truth that will rebuild your identity. But before we go there, let me ask you, what if your healing doesn't begin when they say, I'm sorry, but when you finally say, I forgive? Let today be that beginning. Key 11, break the lies. Believe the truth. You've been carrying voices that aren't mine. Quiet ones, loud ones, persistent ones. They started as whispers, then grew into labels, then lived in your thoughts like facts. You're not enough. You always mess things up. You'll never change. You're too broken. I've seen the way you've started to believe them, not because you wanted to, but because repetition felt like proof. But now I've come to say, that's not who you are. That's never who you were. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are not what others said in anger or what your past tried to carve into your soul. You are mine. And when I speak over you, every lie has to bow. Some of the lies started early, before you even knew how to protect yourself from them. They came through rejection, through silence, through absence, through comparison. And slowly the enemy wrapped them around your heart like invisible cords, so familiar you didn't even realize they were choking you. But I've seen it. I've seen the damage, and now I've come to break it. So here is the key. Break the lies. Believe the truth. You won't silence every voice overnight, but you can start today. Not by yelling back at the lies, but by filling the silence with truth. My truth. The truth that says you are loved. You are chosen. You are not an afterthought. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are exactly where I can reach you. And I want you to know, healing begins when you start replacing lies with my word. Do you remember Gideon? He saw himself as small, weak, unqualified. He called himself the least of his tribe, but I called him mighty warrior. I didn't wait for him to change before I spoke it. I spoke it so he could change, because your identity is not something you earn. It's something I reveal. You see brokenness. I see potential. You see failure. I see formation. You see delay. I see destiny. What you call too far gone, I call perfectly positioned for redemption. And if you're ready to begin tearing down those inner walls, those false names, those shadows you've lived under for far too long, write this in the comments. Jesus, I believe what you say about me. Let that become the new foundation of your identity. Every time you hear a lie rise up, meet it with truth. When you hear, you're not loved, say, I am loved with an everlasting love. When you hear, you'll never change, say, he who began a good work in me will be faithful to complete it. When you hear you're too broken, say, by his wounds I am healed. Truth isn't always louder, but it's always stronger. And when you fill your heart with it, the lies begin to lose their power. You're not meant to live beneath the weight of shame. You're meant to rise in the light of grace, and that starts with believing what I say about you. Not just once, but every day. Let it sink deep. Let it wash over every old name you've carried. Let it renew your mind and your spirit. Stay with me. We're building something holy, from the inside out. The next key will show you how to walk in purpose. Not as something far away, but as something alive in your everyday steps. But before we move forward, I want to leave you with this. What if your greatest transformation begins not by becoming someone new, but by remembering who I said you've always been? Let's remember that together. Key 12. Walk in your purpose daily. You've wondered why you're here. You've questioned your steps, your path, your worth. You've asked me, sometimes with hope, sometimes through tears, what is my purpose? And I want you to hear this clearly. You were never created to drift through life unnoticed or unnecessary. There is purpose in you, divine, intentional, unique, and it is not waiting for some distant future. It begins today. You don't need a stage to matter. You don't need a title to be used. You don't need perfect clarity to begin walking. Purpose is not something you earn. It's something you carry, because I placed it inside you before you were even born. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I designed you with intention. Your voice, your story, your scars, your sensitivity. Nothing about you is random. Even the detours, the delays, the battles. I will use them all. Not one thing is wasted in my hands, not even what others rejected, not even what you regret. So here is the key. Walk in your purpose daily. You've been waiting for a grand moment, a divine signal, a dramatic confirmation. But purpose often begins in the ordinary, in the way you listen, the way you speak life into others, the way you carry light into dark places without even realizing it. Every step you take in love, every moment you choose truth, every time you forgive, show mercy, serve quietly, pray when no one sees. That is your purpose in motion. You don't have to wait for your life to look different. You just have to walk closely with me, and as you walk, I will reveal more. I'll guide, I'll open doors, I'll breathe on the gifts within you and stir them to life. Do you remember Esther? She didn't start out confident. She didn't plan to change a nation, but when the moment came, she stepped in for such a time as this. And that's true for you too. There are people only you can reach, places only you can stand, words only you can speak. Your obedience, even in small things, shifts the atmosphere around you, and when you feel small, when doubt whispers again, when the world tells you you're not doing enough, come back to me. Ask me to remind you who you are, and I will. You are a carrier of hope, a light bearer, a kingdom builder, my ambassador in the world. You don't need a spotlight, just my spirit. If this word is awakening something in you, if it's stirring your spirit and giving you the permission to begin, write in the comments, Jesus, I will walk in the purpose you've given me. Let those words be your yes, not to perfection, but to the process. Because purpose isn't about being busy, it's about being aligned. It's not about achieving, it's about abiding and obeying. When you walk with me, every step becomes sacred. Every act of love becomes eternal. And when you live from that place, you stop chasing purpose like it's somewhere outside of you and start releasing it from the inside of you. You don't have to be ready. You have to be willing, and you are. Stay close. There are more keys to come. The next one will teach you how to protect your spirit, how to recognize what drains your soul, and how to stay rooted in me when the world tries to pull you away. But before we go there, let me ask you, what if your purpose isn't waiting to be discovered, but waiting to be lived right here, right now? Let's walk into it together. Key 13, guard your heart and spirit. You feel everything deeply. That's not a flaw. It's part of how I made you. Your sensitivity, your discernment, your desire for peace, they are not weaknesses. But I know it hasn't been easy. Because in a world that pulls from every direction, it's easy for your heart to become tired, your spirit distracted, your soul fragmented. That's why today I'm asking you to return, not just to me, but to the quiet place within where you can hear my voice clearly again. You cannot walk in purpose, in peace, or in power unless you guard your spirit. There are things that look harmless, but slowly drain your joy. Conversations that seem casual, but leave your mind clouded. Places that promise rest, but leave your soul restless. It's not about fear, it's about wisdom. It's about learning what fills you and what empties you, what connects you to me and what pulls you away, even subtly. So here is the key. Guard your heart and spirit, not with walls of fear, but with gates of discernment. Be aware of what you allow into your ears, your eyes, your thoughts. Not everything is meant to enter. Some words should not stay. Some atmospheres were not meant to hold you. Some relationships must be placed in my hands, not because you don't love, but because you need space to breathe again, to hear me again, to come back to stillness. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That's what I told you, not to control you, but to protect the treasure inside of you. Your heart is where my spirit whispers. Your spirit is where my power dwells. That space is sacred, and I want to teach you how to live like it. Do you remember how I often slipped away from the crowds, not because I didn't love them, but because I knew where my strength came from? I withdrew to be with the Father, in the stillness, in prayer, in the quiet where heaven could realign my heart, and I'm calling you to do the same. You don't need to respond to every voice. You don't need to prove yourself in every conversation. You don't need to carry every burden you were never meant to pick up. What you need is me. And to keep hearing me, you must protect the space where I speak. Sometimes that means turning off the noise. Sometimes it means saying no. Sometimes it means stepping away. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You are not called to pour out what I have not poured into you. And if your spirit feels weary, if your heart has been stretched thin, don't ignore it. Don't keep pushing forward while running on empty. Come back. Let me refill you. Let me renew your perspective. Let me restore what the noise has taken. If this word is settling into your soul, if you feel the call to return to simplicity, to stillness, to strength, write in the comments, Jesus, I choose to guard my heart and stay close to you. Let it be your gentle yes, not to isolation, but to intimacy, not to fear, but to faithfulness. You are not meant to protect yourself alone. My spirit will teach you, my word will guide you, and my peace will guard your heart and mind. This next season will require clarity, and clarity comes through consecration. Stay close, remain soft. Let me teach you how to live unshaken in a world that keeps shifting. The next key will unlock something powerful. How to speak life, not just to others, but to yourself. How to use your words as weapons of truth, healing, and creation. But before we go there, I ask you this. What if the strength you've been searching for is waiting in the silence you've been avoiding? Let me meet you in that silence. Let me fill you again. Key 14. Speak life with your words. You've said things about yourself in moments of pain that I never said. Words formed in the middle of disappointment, spoken in anger, or whispered under breath in defeat. I'm not enough. I'll always be this way. I can't do this. And each time I heard it, each word mattered, not because I held it against you, but because I know the weight that words carry. And now I want to invite you to begin again, to speak differently, to speak life. Your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every sentence you speak over yourself, over others, over your future, plants something. And I created you in my image, with the power to build or break, to bless or curse, to declare what is true, or to agree with what was never meant for you. It's time to take that seriously. So here is the key. Speak life with your words. I'm not asking you to pretend everything's fine. I'm asking you to align your mouth with heaven, with truth, with the promises I've spoken over you, even when your feelings don't match yet. Because life doesn't start with what you see, it starts with what you say. Do you remember the valley of dry bones? My servant stood surrounded by death, and I asked him, "Can these bones live?" He didn't know the answer, but I told him to prophesy, to speak, and as he spoke, bone came to bone, breath returned, life rose up. That's what happens when your words come into agreement with mine. Dead things begin to live again. Some of you have been speaking death over your own future without realizing it. Words of fear, words of finality, words that say, "It's over," when I'm still writing the story. Let me change that. Let me teach you to speak with power, not loudness, but authority, not hype, but hope. Start small, start honest, start now. Speak life over your day. Today I walk with Jesus. Today I have peace. Today I choose grace. Speak life over your mind. I have the mind of Christ. I am not ruled by fear. I am filled with truth. Speak life over your body, your future, your family, your dreams. Because what you speak, you start to believe. And what you believe, you start to walk in. Even your silence carries weight. Especially the words you've never said, but still believe deep inside. I want to meet you there too, in the quiet places where your inner voice still echoes the lies of the past. Let me rewrite the script. Let me give you a new language, one that builds instead of breaks. If this truth is stirring something in your spirit, if you're ready to reclaim your voice, write in the comments, "Jesus, I choose to speak life." Let those words become a declaration over everything that once felt dead. And don't just speak over yourself. Speak life into others, into your children, your friends, strangers. Speak what I speak. Encourage, uplift, build. Because every life you touch becomes a garden, and your words are the seeds. Stay with me. Let me teach you how to carry this authority with gentleness, how to speak boldly and love deeply. This world is loud with fear. Be the one who speaks with peace. And when you slip, when old patterns try to return, don't give up. Don't silence your voice. Speak again. Speak better. Speak truth. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for partnership. The final key I'll give you next will be one of the most sacred. How to live completely surrendered, trusting me with everything you are and everything you're becoming. But before we go there, I want to leave you with this question. What if the breakthrough you've been praying for is waiting on the words you haven't spoken yet? Let's speak them together. Key 15. Surrender everything and follow me. You've made it here through the questions, the quiet, the keys that opened hidden doors in your heart. And I want you to know, I've been with you the entire way. Every moment you paused, every time you whispered, "That's me." Every tear, every breath, every stirring in your soul, I've seen it all. And now we come to the final key, the one that holds all the others, the one that turns the journey into a life. Let it all go and follow me. You've given me parts of your heart, the hurting places, the hidden places, the hopeful places. But now I'm asking for everything, not because I want to take, but because I want to fill. You weren't made to carry the weight of your own life. You were made to walk with me, in step, in trust, in surrender. You've tried to figure it all out, tried to hold on to control, tried to protect yourself from pain, from people, even from purpose. But freedom doesn't come through control. It comes through surrender, and surrender doesn't mean you lose. It means you finally live. So here is the final key. Surrender everything and follow me. It's not a one-time choice. It's a daily invitation to wake up and say, "Not my will, but yours." And to let go of outcomes, titles, expectations, and receive what I want to give instead. Rest for your soul, peace beyond understanding, purpose that can't be shaken. I'm not promising ease, I'm promising presence. I'm not offering escape, I'm offering transformation. Look at the journey we've walked together. You've let me in. You've rested in me. You've surrendered outcomes. You've received peace. You've learned to hear my voice. You've become bold through my spirit. You've waited with me. You've taken up your authority. You've forgiven and let go. You've broken lies and reclaimed truth. You've walked in purpose. You've guarded your spirit. You've spoken life. And now, I'm asking you to trust me fully, not with one room of your heart, but with the whole house, because I have more for you, not just more to do, but more to become. You're not who you were when this began. You've been softened, strengthened, called, chosen. You may still feel small, but in my hands, small things change the world. So stay with me, walk with me, and know, even in the days when you feel unsure or unqualified, I'm still here, I'm still speaking, and I still believe in the person I created you to be. If this journey has touched your heart, if you're ready to say yes, not just with emotion, but with your life, write in the comments, "Jesus, I surrender everything and follow you." Let that be your final key, your holy decision, your new beginning. You don't need to be perfect to follow me. You just need to be willing. And from here on, every step we take together. This space you found, it isn't just a video. It's a sanctuary, a spiritual family, a place where faith grows, where wounds heal, where truth is spoken gently but powerfully. You don't have to walk alone. And if you've reached this final part, I want to say this to you personally. Thank you for staying. Thank you for opening your heart. Thank you for saying yes. You've just planted eternal seeds inside your soul, and in time, they will bloom. Now, as we close, if you feel this message was written for you, know that it was. I saw you before you clicked. I knew what your heart would need. And I'm not done speaking. There are more messages waiting for you right here. Stories of healing, truths that will continue building what we began. You'll find them beside this one, and when you're ready, they'll meet you right where you are. But for now, let me leave you with this. The faith that began here is not ending. It's moving with you, in your voice, in your steps, in your silence. You are not leaving this video the same. You're walking forward, surrendered, and free.